Dear Solstice Okrima, greatest congratulations. The Mark has chosen you, and henceforth you are now a student enrolled at Albion School of Sorcery. Be wary, sorcerer, for this gift is both a blessing and an immense responsibility. Your life shall be devoted to the mystery of self and to the magic flowing through you. You are required to report to Albion and wait in the hall reception. Never fear, the time and place will be made clear to you. The Mark will not allow you to be late. Most importantly, do note that you have received at least 2 letters from the houses of Albion. The great benefactors see much promise in your abilities. They have each made you an offer based on your unique talents. Ignis, the illusionist, fire and vibrance of heart. Solum, the terra mage, earth and sureness of body. Calum, the technomancer, air and sharpness of mind. Undas, the diviner, water and profundity of soul. Choose wisely. We very much look forward to receiving you as part of the new cycle of Albion's great legacy. May greatness be yours. Eliphas Erasmus, Headmaster of Albion School of Sorcery. Hello everyone, and welcome to the long-awaited video about Albion School of Sorcery. It has been a long time coming. Not really, it's only been like 3 weeks, but it still seems like a long time. This video is going to be jam-packed with information about the story of Albion and also my character storyline, Solstice. Because of that, I am going to be doing all of my shoutouts in the beginning of the video, so that way we can get through all the information and get through some key points about the event. To start off with, I was the official photographer on behalf of Moonrise LARP game. Tiffany, who is the founder of Moonrise, actually put out a call for photographers to come to Albion, and on a whim I just decided to go ahead and message her and say, hey, I've done a little bit of photography here and there. I would love to be considered for the position. And a little bit after that she got back to me and she was like, we would love to have you. And so before I knew it, I was on a train up to Chicago, then from Chicago to Wisconsin, and then I ended up at Albion, and it was such a life-changing experience, and I don't regret taking a chance. Which, by the way, artists, take chances and send messages and send emails for things that you want or things that you are potentially interested in. I'm getting off on a tangent. The best way I could piece this information together was by cliff noting it as much as possible. With that being said, this video is not going to be full of spoilers. It's not going to give away what happened at Albion, but it's going to be talking about the technicalities of things and the experience that I had as a LARPer. It's going to go into a little bit of detail about my character and her experiences there. If you want more details about Albion, please look in the description below. There is a ticket link to Albion School of Sorcery Chapter 2 that is going to be happening in February 2021. I am so excited. Solstice is going to make her return. Everyone is returning, and the storyline that was so riveting and so heart-wrenching is going to continue. I can't tell you how excited I am. They are also doing another LARP called Chronicles, and the specific one this year is Asylum, which sounds really, really cool. I am also going to be doing photography for that event as well. It is selling really quickly. Actually, one of the classes that you get to choose from has already sold out, so please go and buy your tickets. That will also be in the description below. Now that I have gotten formalities out of the way, let me go ahead and do some shout outs to some artists that were involved in the project in one way or another. The first shout out I would like to give is to Sweet Cami Jean. She is the one that illustrated all of our house emblems, as you can see on my shirt. She is a beautiful illustrator, and she does a lot of graphics for Moonrise. You have probably seen her work everywhere on the posters, on the website, and we were fortunate enough to get some merchandise for Albion with her beautiful artwork on it, so please go follow her on Instagram and go follow her on Twitter. The second person I would like to shout out to is Diana Vasquez. She is the one that hand-stitched all of these robes for each house at Albion. There were 40 robes that she had to get through, and all of them have our house colors, and they also have a beautiful hood on the back, and they tie around the neck right here. And I love the fact that Deanna took time out of her schedule to make sure that all of these were crafted to perfection. And it's so inspiring. So thank you so much, Deanna, for making this experience that much more enjoyable and giving us memorabilia to take home with us. The third artist I would like to mention is Fields Wood and Steel. They are the creators of these beautiful wands that we received at our induction ceremony for our houses. They were all handcrafted and carved out. Each of them has a unique story to them, and there's a little bit of an Easter egg with these wands that I mentioned in one of my vlogs in this video. But Fields Wood and Steel, they have such unique products on their Instagram page, so go and follow them and support them as much as you can because they make some beautiful pieces. And the final artist I would like to shout out to, she goes by Yipnotic on all of her social medias, but she's also known as Aubrey. She was a fellow LARPer that I had the privilege of playing with at Albion. She is a lifestyle person as far as fitness and cosplay, and now she's starting to get into the world of LARP, so please go follow her on Instagram, follow her on Twitter, and support her stuff. So I've gotten a lot of questions on what is the plotline of Albion, what happens in Albion, who is Albion? There are so many questions about this plotline and so many things about this lore that I still haven't grasped yet. So the best thing that I can do is read you guys the story of Albion. It's not as long as the actual handbook that we got, but I did my best to narrow it down and summarize it as best as I could.
The story of Albion is about a child named Albion who was found by the Black Fox, an entity that watched over him for most of his life at Anwen, or the Mystic Realm. Along his journey, Albion came across 4 other beings: the Phoenix, the Dragon, the Scylla, and the Unicorn, all of which taught him valuable lessons about different forms of magic. He eventually fell in love with the dragon, but unfortunately things didn't go as planned. The Black Fox activated Albion's mark that banished him to the mortal realm, separating him from his love. The Black Fox disappeared shortly after, leaving Albion in shambles. The dragon, hurt by Albion's disappearance, began to burn down Anwen, causing total destruction. The Black Bishop, who was sent by the Magisterium to calm her down, drove a sword through her heart, thus binding her to the Magisterium. Albion tried his best to get back to the Mystic Realm, but completely failed to do so, and ended up back on the shore that the Black Fox had found him on as a baby. From there, he took the teachings from the 4 beings that he had met so long ago and built a school, Albion School of Sorcery. Shortly after, the Scylla emerged from the sea and took Albion back with her into the abyss. Neither the Scylla nor Albion have been seen ever since, and thus awakens the 40 sorcerers that were chosen for the school.
And now we are going to get to the meat of this video. Here we go. When we arrived at DeKoven, we went through this check-in process where we received our welcome letters, class schedules, and we also received our marks that were drawn onto our hands, kind of like mine that's pictured right here. The mark is something that all of the students in Albion got, but we don't know why we got them or how we got them. They kind of just appeared one day. But the welcome letter was absolutely gorgeous, as well as the class schedules, because the aesthetic that they had for these documents, they were just amazing. They were beautiful. Once we got everything, we headed up to our rooms, and then we got settled in. So this came in my welcome packet. As you can see, they put a lot of detail into this. They burnt off the edges. They made it as realistic as possible. In the middle is the name of my house. I'm in Undas, and it says Solstice Ulkrama. We see beyond the face and the magical strength that lies within. Embrace the typhoon within and find your destiny within the eye of the storm. Kevinus Caspian, 5th seat of the Magisterium. That was a mouthful, but basically he was the founder of my house. So this is just so cool. And here's my acceptance letter. At the top, it has all 4 symbols, which they made
themselves, and around it, it has this beautiful gold border that reflects, and it's gorgeous. This basically says what I read in the beginning, but it's just so cool. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm in love. Like, I'm in love. One thing to note is that before we got into the game and character work and such, we had discussions that covered consent and the rules of the game. What I love the most about this particular game is that we spent a good amount of time talking about what was okay and what wasn't okay for players.
So, for our first timers, and obviously we're going to review for our veterans in the room, we are going to go over some hand signals today, because the most important thing about LARP and when we are interacting with each other as these characters, larger than life situations where really it's like life or death situations sometimes, we can get really heated, we can get really intense, we can get really passionate, we can get really enthralled in the world and the stories that we're telling. And one of the things that is really important to realize, just as you're going through the weekend, that even though these scenarios are fake, these emotions that we're feeling are very, very real. And this is how you can get consent from your fellow role players. So let's say I'm role playing with someone and they're from a rival house, right? So I'm getting really passionate, heated, and I'm like, I'm kind of like screaming at this person. I want to do a check-in. And how we do a check-in in Remembrance Art Games is we do a little thumbs up right here on the chest. You could also do a, this is like you're not sure, or a thumbs down, where you're like, this is a, wow, you are fiery phoenix. I need to step back. What's really important about this is that if anyone gives you a thumbs down or a, don't take it personal. It's just that like everyone has different comfort levels when it comes to role playing. And we want to be respectful of that. So just kind of like break off the engagement. You could be like, we'll discuss this later if you can. Just leave the conversation. It's important to know that for us, unsure and a thumbs down means the same. So no matter what they're doing, that conversation ends, whether they give you a meh or a thumbs down.
So the hand symbols that Tiffany talked about really helped in the role-playing aspect of the game because there were so many heated moments that we had to get through and we had to keep checking in with each other like, are you okay? Are you good? Not good? Or, just talking out of character, which is something that I had to break the habit of whenever I came back home. I would literally do this in mid-conversation while I was at home talking to someone. It helped because it showed that we respected each other, and also it kept things going in a healthy, mentally healthy way. So I really appreciated that she took so much time to talk about the means of consent and talk about each hand symbol and the significance of each one.
After the rules and consent was covered, we moved into our in detail character work where the lady listener had us walk in character to make the transition into them a little easier for our psychological selves and also our physical selves.
So a little bit about my character, Solstice. Solstice was born to two magic users, very powerful magic users, and they were bound in contract to this darkness or this entity. We don't know exactly what it was, and it's not very specified, and I kind of like the ambiguity of it. And because they were bound by this contract, they had to kill other people to feed its souls. When Solstice was expected to be born, this entity asked them to kill her, and of course, them being her parents, they said absolutely not. And in turn, unfortunately, they ended up having to pay the price with their lives. She was born with two horns that kind of signified the mark of this entity, saying, I own you, and you are going to do what I say for the rest of your life. Now, once she got her mark of Albion, she decided to go ahead and kind of go with the flow of things just to see if she could get some control of this darkness or to see if she could separate herself from the contract. One thing to mention is that Moonrise LARP Games is jointed with Otherworld Theater Company, which is a Chicago-based theater company. A lot of the staff had experience in theater and acting and whatnot, so the workshops that we did were deeply rooted in acting and methods of how to do it and everything, which was something that a lot of us needed, especially people and LARPers who don't have experience in theater. And she helped us morph into our characters, especially with how intense the game was. We definitely needed that rather than just jumping right into it and suddenly having to change from ourselves to another person. Let's talk about these NPCs. I have been doing theater my entire life. Most of my life, I guess I should say. And I've been doing a lot of stage acting, mostly plays and musicals and whatnot. And I've only dabbled in improv a few times in my life, only because I am terrified of it. But the NPCs in this game made the game. They made the game. They were so beautifully written, and they were so well crafted, molded. Everything was just so good about them. And there was not one weak NPC. Everyone had their strengths that were equally as strong as the other person, and they took into account so many details about our characters as students, and they applied it to our role-playing experience. Like, they were some of the best actors and actresses that I have ever come in contact with. So out of the 7, there were 4 that were head of households. And mine in particular was Vigilus Caspian, who was the head of Undas. There was Emerald Moonchild, who was head of Solum. And then there was Copernicus Solis, who was the head of Ignis, and then there was Sir Nefel Alazo, who was the head of Calum. And then there was the headmaster Elephas Erasmus, Magnolia Copperpot, or Mags. And then there was Warwick Zephyrus, who was the technomancer of the school. Not only were they beautiful actors and storytellers, but they were also amazing people. Out of game, they were so concerned about the players' well-being and how we were getting through the story and if we were okay, and they constantly checked in with us. All of us were just so appreciative of how attentive they were to not only their characters but ours as well.
The story was very focused on making every student at the school be seen and heard when it came to their own personal developments. Solstice in particular had a very complex storyline, and with the help of Lady Listener and the rest of the writing staff, we collaborated to make sure that her story was played out in the right way. This went for all the other students as well, and months before, Moonrise sent out these character sheets that we filled out, allowing us creative freedom and the ability to sculpt the characters how we wanted them, in reason, of course. They made sure to implement any major details that each player wanted to highlight in their experience.
With this particular group, as far as staff and students go, there was a sense of community that I felt as soon as I walked into the building. Everyone was so nice to everyone else. No one was there to compete with each other, and we were all on the same playing field of let's unravel this story together and let's do it in a teamwork fashion. Usually, with houses and having those specific groups with different personalities, you do sometimes have rivals, you have enemies. However, all of the houses got along and all of us were friends with each other. We wanted nothing but the best for one another, and that's what made the process a lot easier to jump into and not be so anxious, because usually when I get around new people or what have you, I get a little bit anxious, but this time it was just so easy to talk to people and get to know them and get to know their characters.
So, we just got done with dinner and people are in the dining hall, as you can see, and they're all talking to each other. So the environment here is amazing so far. Everyone's super nice and just getting as much footage as I can. Hi, Tiffany. That's Tiffany. And so, yeah, I'm just getting as much beef footage as I can, and we will go from there. Pretty soon you will be seeing me in character, so see y'all later. With that, we went into character the exact same night. It included an induction ceremony with all of the professors giving us students reasons to choose their houses. It was kind of funny. We received our wands and robes, and then we all went our separate ways to get acquainted with our fellow players.
I found Vigilus on here. Rejection.
So what is his name?
It's Roger.
He's so cute.
He's named after my grandfather.
Oh.
He appeared the first time I was in the class, and I painted a picture of my grandfather.
So I'm tackling in the bathroom right now, but as you can see, I have on my house cloak. They were handmade by someone who is also in the game, and she is wonderful. Her name is Diana. She made 40 of these capes, and it's crazy. We also got these personalized wands that we got to choose. They are also handmade as well. And on each of them, they had tags, and all of the wands have siblings and like wands that match them and stuff like that. But as you can see, I'm in character. Okay, well, technically not in character, but you know what I mean. It's been so fun so far. The first night is almost over, and everyone is kind of retiring back into their rooms and stuff. I'm still wandering around, talking to people, trying to get to know everything, but things are getting intense already. So, day one is over. Bye. Another thing that I really appreciated about this LARP was that there were so many opportunities to develop the story further and make our characters come to life. Yes, we were on a schedule, but they made sure that there were periods of time in between each class that we had, or after classes were over during the day, that we got time to play and we got time to actually have that immersive theatrical experience that we wanted. However, all of that was done within reason and around a class schedule that was set for us. And we even had time to do some humorous, silly stuff that didn't necessarily go with the story. But for example, we had play auditions for a play that was written, produced, and put on by Professor Moonchild and Professor Solis.
A little geometry included in your performance. So if you could only walk when you're speaking, and only walk in straight lines around the room. Now, no need to connect with the scene part. We're not here for connection. So if you could do that. And Professor Cascade, if you, on your lines, could stand over here next to the lights. If you could, sorry, so loud. If you could, whenever you have a line, if you could turn the lights off, and then your next line turn them on.
I have to do with you in the next class. You can't escape.
Say line and turn it on. Associate myself.
Forgot your co-teaching.
Just this one?
Just that one?
All of them?
One of your choice. Oh, all of them is nice. Let's do all
I
of
think I
them.
have somewhere I need to be during
Morning. It's day 2, and I'm about to head downstairs for breakfast and also bonding time. So here we go.
A normal day at Albion followed a class schedule of 3 or so classes, all having specific focuses. They included potions, ceromancy, tarot, data and lore, universal bonding, mythical beasts, dueling, and herbology.
We have many different options and oils. And, fun fact, if you are ever making a perfume, you need some of this. Jojoba oil. This is a carrier oil. If you ever purchased a perfume and you spritzed it on, and no matter what you did, the scent did not stay, it's probably very low in jojoba oil. Perfumes will not stay unless they have jojoba in them.
Even if it does come out, it's not going to stick around for
No,
long, right?
no, I've only ever seen flashes of it. It's got little beady eyes, you know, and you kind of get a glimpse of it. And that's why all the pictures you see of people, whether it's a hoax or not, it's always just a glimpse of it. Because they are very elusive creatures. Don't know where they go, don't know where they come from. Just know they're there.
And that is one thing that the mortals love to do, is create hoaxes of such creatures.
If you have a strong reaction to a card, that's good. That card is speaking to you. The medicine of tarot is very rarely easy to process. Even in moments of great joy, it can be difficult, hard. An opportunity to learn, to take something new.
These classes were very thorough, and I actually learned a lot from them as Bree and as Solstice as well. Specifically in ceromancy and tarot. Ceromancy being the study of putting your intention into a candle and using the candle wax to find symbols and messages and answers that you may need. I actually had no idea about Ceromancy. I didn't even know it was a thing before going to Albion, but sitting in on the class and having to do divination and whatnot, which is a very huge foundation for Undas anyway. It was really cool to find out about another form of magic that I had yet to even hear about. And I got some pretty cool images of some wax that I got as a result of Ceromancy. I call Ceromancy and Tarot Solstice's awakening classes because she felt the most connected and the most grounded in those classes. She saw them as ways to help other people and help other students. She even did Ceromancy for another student, Delphine, toward the end of the storyline. So that was really neat, and it gave her a lot of power and it gave her a lot of solace within herself that she was doing the right thing for herself. Also, we had dueling classes. Like, we had a dueling class where you would think it's like, there's not actual magic coming out of these wands, but we didn't need it. So our dueling focused on the elements fire, water, earth, air, and shadow was the extra one that we covered. And each of the elements had their own specific spell. So you would have to do a motion, a certain motion, and you would have to say the name of the spell at the same time. And if you didn't do it correctly, then that would invalidate the entire spell and it wouldn't count. And these duels have 9 rounds. So it is the most intense and magical version of rock, paper, scissors I've ever seen or witnessed. And I say seen or witnessed because Solstice was terrified of trying to do dueling. So she just stood off the sidelines and she watched and she observed.
Once classes were done, it was time to play, and we had the rest of the night to role play and progress the story however we wanted. And sometimes we went until midnight, sometimes we went until 11, sometimes 1 in the morning. It truly just depended on how much we wanted to get done.
Stop punishing me!
Listen, Squish, I swear, I have written the letter to your mother. I don't have to send it. We can negotiate.
No! Send it! I dare you!
Promise me you'll show up to all of your classes on time.
I will not promise anything!
So once we got acquainted with our classes and we started to get comfortable, things in the storyline started to go down. And it even started on the first night. Thursday night, literally there was drama that night, there was drama Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In the midst of everything, a school named Scholomance came to Albion, and that is our rival school, and there are harpies over there as well as other mystical creatures. Now there is a student that goes to Albion, and her name is Squish, who is a beloved character by all, and she used to go there before she transferred over to Albion, and her mom is actually the head mistress of Scholomance. So it brought on a lot of hilarity and a lot of things ensued, including a trifecta tournament where all of the houses of Albion went against the school to claim the trophy for the trifecta tournament. And it was so much fun, and it was so needed because there had been so many issues going on in the storyline that everyone was feeling overwhelmed. So much drama was unfolding, everyone was exhausted, and we just needed a time to act silly and act like a team for once. And the school really banded together. Being a photographer on the outside of everything, I couldn't help but smile because everyone was having a good time, everyone was getting along, and everyone was so happy. And I think Moonrise did that on purpose because we had our ball that night, and that's when everything fell apart.
Okay, I skipped yesterday as far as vlogging because so much is happening in this story right now. As you can see, I look dead, but I'm not. It has to do with my character arc, but oh my god, the acting, the storylines, everything is just what I could have imagined, like better than what I imagined. Yeah, a lot of things progressed in the story last night. Tonight we have our ball, and we are about to have a trifecta tournament amongst a rival school and the 4 houses of Albion. So like, It's insane, and I'm super excited, and I'm having such a good time, and I've made so many new friends, and oh my gosh. So yeah, I just wanted to say hi because I haven't in a while. So yeah, see ya.
By the Trifecta tournament, Solstice was going through it. This entity, this curse, had started to drain her life force, and there were times where she would black out and the entity would take over her body, especially in classes, and she would start writing things that she doesn't remember. She would start stealing things. For example, she stole the Wand of Albion, the most precious artifact in the entire school. She stole it a couple times, and I felt so bad for her, but I mean, like, the drama. And it was also the moment that everything started to go terribly, terribly wrong. That morning, we started with a tense breakfast.
And I know you more than them.
If I tell them, will you give it back?
Yes. I have not been forthright with you.
That was a mess, and I can explain a little bit. So the headmaster had a secret that he revealed to the entire school. It caused a lot of betrayal and a lot of distrust in not only him, but the other professors as well, because they knew about it. And it was heartbreaking because as the students, they put a lot of trust into the headmaster and what he was about. But then suddenly he dropped this bomb on all of us, and it shattered us. It completely made us devastated. And Solstice, because not only did the headmaster make her a promise, but the harpy that came over from Scholomance made a promise. And because of the actions of the headmaster and because of what he did, the harpies lost trust in Albion, and they left before the harpy could give Solstice what she wanted. And also the headmaster ended up falling through on the promise that he gave Solstice. So she got super angry, and a lot of her housemates can attest to the fact that she became a different person that night, quite literally. It also resulted in her exorcism, which is all I'm going to say about that. There were multiple times where Solstice felt like she was alone and that she couldn't really trust anyone, and it wasn't because of the quality of people that she was surrounded by, but it was because she had spent most of her life alone, and she'd spent most of her life isolated from a lot of people. And this entity essentially took over her life, made her do things that were completely out of character for her. The promise that the headmaster made Solstice even terrified me as the actress Bree, because there was a lot of gravity to the situation and a lot of things that she had to decide for herself. And that decision could have potentially meant life or death for the people around her.
Needless to say, the chapter ended on a very cathartic and emotional note that had almost all of the school in tears. A lot of the NPCs had some secrets of their own that were revealed as the story went on, which included gut-wrenching moments like this.
One without a council of secrets, but a magisterium ruled by the populace. But to take over the magisterium, it would require more than my new helm. It would require an army. Warwick, come to me. The honor placed upon your wrist was put there by magisterium, no longer existing. Vigilance, please. By declaring myself the Black Bishop of the magisterium, I hereby pardon you of this honor.
The power felt in that room after that scene was impalpable. Everyone had something to do with how that last moment unraveled. It was theater magic. It was stunning, and everyone felt something. Even the people that hadn't shed a damn tear that weekend, they were crying, or they were feeling something, or they just felt this pull of emotion, and it was just a testament to the writing. I just remember feeling so hurt in that moment, and it truly felt like my actual friends were being ripped away from me for reasons that I won't say because it's a spoiler. But it truly felt like my loved ones were being taken away from me, and I couldn't help but just sob through most of it. And I didn't expect to cry as hard as I did, but everyone was just crying and just letting out that catharsis. And it was therapy almost for a lot of us, for people that have been pent up and people that have been holding back a lot of emotions. It was so therapeutic and it was well needed, and all of us just needed a group cry together. So it was a very healthy and safe note to end on, because we were in a facility where we could do that and we were allowed to feel things. And let me tell you, LARP drop is real. It is so real, because when your brain is going through that catharsis for 4 days in a row and then suddenly you have to cut it off, it's hard. And your brain is like, what just happened? Because as Tiffany said, the emotions that we felt that weekend are very real emotions. And that's why in LARP games, it's so important to have that emotional support. And it's so important to be surrounded by people who are going to support you as the actor and as the LARPer in those experiences. Because the brain can confuse what is real and what's not. Like when I got back home, I had such a hard time disconnecting with Solstice, because Solstice is very similar to myself, aside from, you know, the entity taking over and the magic, whatever. But her and I were very similar in the sense of we needed to find strength for ourselves and we needed to know that we are strong people. So it was just really hard to rip away that mentality of this other person that I had created. In LARP drop, please take care of yourselves, get sleep, drink water, talk to people. I cannot stress this enough. Talk to your loved ones, talk to your friends about how you're feeling. You do not deserve to be alone during LARP drop, because being alone during a drop, it's very difficult to get through. So depend on your fellow LARPers and depend on your fellow role players. Air all of that negativity that you're feeling pent up inside of you. Just let it go, and you will definitely see yourself getting through it. The friends that I made on this trip, I know they're going to be lifelong friends, and that's the beauty of LARP that I've discovered, is that you make so many connections and so many new friends, and you get into so many different groups around the world and in the country, and it's just wonderful to have people outside of your comfort zone. And I'm just so excited for my future. This trip actually made me decide that I am moving to Chicago in July of 2020, and I am so excited. I'm going to be continuing my theatrical career and also my career in content creation and my LARP career as well. So I'm really excited for what the future holds, and I can't wait to take you guys on those adventures with me.
There aren't that many people that you can say you discovered the beauty of magic with. In fact, there aren't that many people that would admit that magic exists. That's because they haven't discovered it within themselves yet. I have seen the face of magic, and it is beautiful. In the people that I love, in my protectors, and finally, in myself. Darkness cannot exist without light, and light cannot exist without darkness. But the only thing that we need to remember is that we deserve light. We deserve those moments of laughter, sadness, and anger. We deserve the tears that fall whenever we hurt, and we deserve the happiness that comes from the warmth of our loved ones. Above all else, we deserve the magic in this world, the healing that it brings, and the connections that come along with it. My story isn't over, and I have yet to discover even more about myself. Until our next adventure, keep the magic close and use it as a means to give to others whenever they need it. And so, it shall be. Hello friends, if you like what you just saw, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button or follow me on Twitter at Brito_, or you could also find me on Instagram at Brito. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching this long video about Albion. And be sure to go ahead and support Moonrise LARP Games as well and Otherworld Theater Company. Please, please, please go and follow, subscribe, and like them. They deserve all of the support in the world, and I thank them so much for this opportunity. Let's bop along, friends. See you next time.